Oh, yeah, it's your boy Livewire, and I'm back in the motherfucking building, baby. So, what's going on, people? I just want to do a quick conversation. I'm trying to keep this under 30 minutes, hopefully. But I just wanted to talk about, uh, a conversation piece that's been kind of going around. It's been going around for a while. Ever since the Scorpio's been announced, um, a lot of the PlayStation guys have changed their narrative from, Xbox doesn't matter, exclusives don't matter because PS4 is more powerful. Everything was power, power, power. At the beginning of the generation, Xbox gamers always said, well, the reason why I went with, PS4 was because it had more power. That's what a lot of the PlayStation guys were saying. I'm saying Xbox guys were saying that we were going with Xbox because of the games. So you got Xbox gamers talking about beginning of generation, talking about games, PS4 guys talking about power. People are like, oh, well, who cares about, Rise of Rome or whatever? Yeah, it looks okay, but it's not 1080p. Oh, who cares about Dead Rising? It looks okay, but it's not 1080p. And the games that, even though they would look well enough, they would play well enough on Xbox, PlayStation gamers always had that narrative. Well, if that game was on the PS4, it will look better and it will run better. That was always the conversation. So now, and on top of that, when Killzone came out, people said it looked great, but it wasn't fun. Knack came out, it looked great, but it wasn't fun. So their whole narrative was, it doesn't matter about the exclusives, don't really matter. What matters is we got the better multiplats. That was the narrative. Xbox gamers did not want to accept that because that was not the narrative of last gen, right? Last gen 360 won because of exclusives. That's why it won. It had power and performance over the PS4 as well, so it was double fold. It wasn't more powerful than PS4, but it had better performance than the PS4 at the very beginning to mid-generation. Towards the end, they started to balance out a little bit, but still 360 kind of maintained that edge just because it was an easier console to, produce games for. The only thing that was the real saving grace of the PS4 were their homemade exclusives that, look better on not the PS3. I mean PS4, the PS3, because the PS3 was more powerful. So if you have only the PS3 to make a game for, you can make a game like the Last of Us or Infamous or Uncharted or God of War. Like they had a lot of those hits because they were only working on one platform. That console was extremely powerful. It's just that we learned this generation more so than even last that developers that do multiplats are lazy. It is what it is. So whatever is the easiest thing to develop for, that's what the games are going to look better on. So this whole narrative of now that the Scorpio is coming out in less than a year, that, well, it doesn't, power doesn't matter. It's all about the exclusives. You can't say that because we literally just went through that conversation. You PlayStation guys being on the opposite side, and we saw how that shit turned out. You can't just say that fucking Xbox Scorpio having a greater multiplat is not going to matter. You cannot say that. You cannot say that. Because you're talking about the differences between the Xbox and the PlayStation games being on multiplats was minuscule, very small, but yet it was touted as being a big thing. Like Diller always says, he was saying like the difference is at a minimum between the Xbox and the PS4 is 40%, right? And now the difference between the Xbox Scorpio and the PS4 Pro is also 40%. But you're looking at the difference between 1.3 and 1.8, now looking at 4.2, and 6 teraflops, right? But if you have 40% off something that's small, like $10, right? Like Diller explains, which is 40, or if you have it like 100, I mean 40, but you get $10, which is 4, and 100, which is 40, you know, it's a bigger difference. You know, you're getting 4 on one end, you're getting 40 back on the other. That's a bigger amount. You know, no way, no matter how you slice it, 40 is going to be a lot more noticeable than getting back $4. It just is. I mean, just think about it. Like if somebody if you got, you know, gave somebody $10 and then you got 4 back, you'd be like, oh shit, I got $4 back. But if you gave somebody $100 and you got 40 back, you'd be like, oh shit, I got $40 back. What the fuck? Oh, that's some dope shit. Because there's more shit you could do with that $40 than you could do with $4. And it's the same thing for the performance for the consoles, man. So it's just like, you know, trying to deny that that's important is kind of being like, you know, I don't know. You're just in great denial. I mean, I understand the PS4 isn't, I mean, PS4 Pro isn't going to be, it's not a piece of shit. All right. Let's start there. It's not a piece of shit. The only reason why we clown Sony guys on it is because it's not this all-powerful thing that they hyped it up to be. And now they're trying to clown us on the same thing. But the difference is we're not really hyping the Xbox Scorpio to be a super duper computer that fucking, you know, goes through time and space. We're not doing that shit. All we're saying is it shits on the Pro. That's all Xbox gamers are really saying. See, PlayStation gamers are trying to push in this narrative that we think that the Xbox Scorpio is going to be like the next the console rig, like some, you know, it's like, you know, more powerful than 4 Titans and shit. Like that's what the PlayStation guys want to push, that narrative that we're saying. We're not saying that shit. We just saying that the Xbox Scorpio shits on the fucking Pro. That's what we saying, you know. But y'all can't handle that shit. So y'all try to make it like we trying to say it's something more than what it is, when that's not the case. You know, I mean, that's why they're even pushing this narrative with Phil talking about 4K uncompromised. And you said it was going to be 4K 60. No, they didn't say everything was going to be 4K 60. They said some games will, some games won't. We don't know, you know. But the thing is, what we do know is whatever comes out on the Scorpio will look better there than it will on the Pro. That will be the case, you know. I mean, so it's just funny how people first they're like, all right, you know, power not well in their first this first level of denial. They're sitting here saying, well, power doesn't matter. It's all about the games, right? My thing is, if that was the case, PlayStation ain't had no goddamn games for like how long? How long didn't PS4 have any games? It didn't have any games. All right, let's see. When it launched, it barely had any games, but the media said that it was the better looking console and it was cheaper. So those are two things that were in his favor, right? But then after Titanfall dropped, Xbox dropped the Kinect, or it was either after or before, whichever one it was. But they dropped the Kinect. The price was cheaper, but PS4 still won, right? Xbox was kind of holding its own a little bit, but PS4 still was winning because it still was known as the console that had the better multiplats. Whether or not that's a big difference or not, it's still the console that was known to have the better multiplats. Now, did you have to go to Digital Foundry to see the differences? In some cases, yeah. In other cases, no. It depended on the game. But the fact remains is that the PS4 retained its popularity because it was known to have the better multiplats. So now you're telling me that now that the script is flipped and now the shoe is on the other foot and you got PS4 with the less powerful multiplats than what the Scorpio will have, that gamers are just going to say, well, no, before we went to the PS4 because it had better multiplayer, but now we're not going to go to the Scorpio because it has better multiplayer, because now it's all about PS4 exclusives that we don't buy like that. I'm just saying, like the funniest thing is like when people argue, well, like PS4 has all these little indies and they have all these fucking JRPGs. Look, man, as much as people like to garner and say, all right, these indies are great, these JRPGs are great, people don't buy enough of those games to warrant the sales of the PS4. Like you can't say, oh, well, we sold 53 million PS4s, but yet in total, you don't have a single indie that sold. I don't even know if it sold over 3 million. What's the biggest indie that was ever on PS4? Maybe Rocket League, and that was like an anomaly. That's you don't get games like that. That's like when Microsoft had Minecraft. It was like a shot in the dark. Like you didn't see that shit coming. It just came out of nowhere. So it's like these guys trying to act like the Scorpio drops. And, oh, well, why would I buy the Scorpio? Because it's not going to have any games. Like, bitch, what are you talking about? All the games that come out from here on out are going to be prepped with Scorpio in mind. Just because devs aren't sitting here talking about Scorpio games doesn't mean that those games aren't being prepped for the Scorpio. I mean, you got to understand, the Scorpio hasn't had its reveal yet. So how the fuck is a dev going to talk about games being like? Has any dev talked about games being made for the Scorpio other than Microsoft? No, not a single one. Not a fucking single one. Not even games that are in the Windows store have been like we figured they will be Scorpio games because they're already on Microsoft property, but Capcom hasn't come out and talked about Resident Evil. Activision hasn't come out and talked about Call of Duty. Just because those games are in there, I mean, we know that they're going to the Scorpio, but still those devs haven't come out and said, oh, well, this game is on the Scorpio. Nobody has. Only the few devs at Microsoft have spoken about the Scorpio. So to assume that just because I know they're like, well, asking people at BioWare about Mass Effect, they can't talk about it. I mean, what is there to talk? What are they going to tell you? They can't really. I mean, because think about it. If they say, oh yeah, we have plans for a Mass Effect for the Scorpio. First thing they're going to be is like, well, what's the power look like? They're going to ask them all these fucking questions. They're going to ask them a ton of questions about, well, what are the specs? Do you see specs? Do you see this? Do you see that? And they can't talk about that shit. So for them, it just makes sense, way more sense to just say, oh, well, we don't have any plans for it at this moment. Because therefore, you don't have to answer questions that you cannot answer. Like if you don't have an answer for them, it's just better off saying, well, I can't comment on that. And people will be like, all right, well, why can't you comment? All right, well, there's no plans for it right now. And then once you say that, people will just leave you alone. But if you say, oh, well, we'll see. And then they're going to be asking them every 5 minutes, oh, well, what's good with Scorpio? Oh, what's happening with Scorpio? It's like for BioWare, it's just in their benefit not to even speak on it. But the thing is, man, I really feel like these PlayStation guys are reaching and hoping. Like, come on, man. I remember when the Xbox dropped, the OG. Now, did it outsell the PS4, PS2? No. I mean, it's a lot of reasons why it didn't outsell the PS2. One, it wasn't located in all the same places. It just wasn't. It was a new console. Nobody really knew about it. It was basically starting from the bottom. Like it started straight from the bottom. Nobody knew about it. It didn't have a ton of games for it because it was PlayStation had all the fucking contracts. Their console was already out there. other than the big devs that were making games for the PS4, most just didn't bother making games for the Xbox OG, because one, it was new tech they had to learn. They already knew PS4. It was just, to them, it was easier, and it was not easier because it's necessarily an easier console to develop for. It was just easier because they already knew it. Sometimes something easy isn't necessarily easy in the fact of, the same level of difficulty of when you started it from point A to going to point B on both sides. Is just that, you're already familiar with this. So to just learn something new is just a challenge in itself, just having to be like, oh fuck, I already been doing shit this way for so long, and now I got to switch up and do it this way. And even though this secondary way, isn't as bad as the primary way I do it right now, it's just the simple fact that I got to go out of my way to do it and learn it. It's just a pain in the ass. I mean, and that's basically, what you saw with the PS2 and the OG Xbox. And then because a lot of those games that Sony had as exclusives weren't real exclusives. They weren't paying for all of those games. They just were the #1 platform. They were easy to develop for. Microsoft was a relative unknown, so whatever they got on their platform, more than likely they paid for them to be there. So it was just a different struggle. That's why when you saw the Xbox 360, they were throwing money at everybody just to convince them to put games on their platform. See, Microsoft is not going to do that now because they did that back then already. They don't have to work as hard, but they had to put in the money before. They had no choice. They had no choice. That was the only way they could, get devs to make stuff for their platform. Otherwise they would just have, they would be Nintendo. I mean, that's basically what the OG Xbox was. It was like a beast of a Nintendo. It was like the Nintendo the Beast console. It was basically what people are talking about. Like, if Nintendo made the Super console, but they only had their own exclusives, they would have been the fucking OG Xbox. They would have some real badass exclusives, look super crazy, but they would have minimal, third party development on their console. So 360 came out, they threw the kitchen sink at anybody and everybody who made fucking games, and I mean anybody and everybody. So with that being said, Xbox was just moving in a whole new direction as far as just galvanizing a larger fan base. And then Don Matrix, he was feeling himself. The Kinect came out, and that shit was successful. See, if the Kinect came out and bombed, you probably wouldn't see Xbox being the way it is now, because it wouldn't have been like, the Kinect was so popular that Microsoft decided to develop the console around Kinect, and that's obvious in the way it looked and operated the first couple of years before they started removing features from it. But everything was about Kinect, man. That shit was hot. I mean, Kinect destroyed everything. People forget that. People act like Kinect was like this piece of shit when it first came out. Like, the original Kinect, even though it doesn't do half as what the new one does, people bought the shit out of that fucking thing. That's what the Kinect killed the fucking PS Move, and it ate up the Wii sales. It monopolized both sides. PlayStation was selling on its own just based on its exclusives, but its Move was destroyed by the fucking Kinect, and so was the Wii's progress. But people act like Microsoft just put Kinect in the box just for, no, they took a gamble on something that they thought people wanted because of the popularity of the product. It's no different than fucking Rock Band. Rock Band was fucking huge. Or not just Rock Band and Guitar Hero, fucking music games were fucking huge during the Kinect run, with Rock Band and Guitar Hero and all that shit. Those things were huge, but guess what? People just didn't want to do that anymore. They were fads. Microsoft gambled on Connect, which was a fad. And could it have been more than just a fad? Yes, it could have. But the problem was the way that they were implementing the Connect wasn't to the benefit of the fucking console. They were basically making it a glorified fucking, camera phone, basically. It's like, oh, you could do FaceTime and, all this shit. We don't have any games out for it. That fucking sucked. They didn't implement it in all of their own games, which is crazy. They didn't have a partnership with NBA 2K. That fucking hurt. That hurt big time, because Connect alone would have shown its value if it was, utilized correctly by NBA 2K with their create a player. Because the way they used it on the Xbox was just fucking god awful. Like it was terrible. Like the scanner didn't work. Anytime you scanned your face, your fucking nose was in your ear. Shit was all fucked up. I was just like, why the fuck is this shit like this when you already have a fucking game where Rare made the Connect Sports Rival, and the shit literally took 15 seconds. Like you get in there, it scans your face, turn left, turn right, and then bam, your face is in there. And it like fucking that NBA 2K shit, that shit was so fucking broken. One, you had to rotate, you couldn't rotate your face but a certain speed. You had to hold it, you had to have this light, you had to have some special lighting, and that shit was a fucking mess, man. Like you had to shit, you could scan your face with the fucking Connect Sports shit off the light basically bouncing from coming from your television, bouncing onto your face, and still get a good scan. But on fucking NBA 2K, you try to do that shit, you look like a fucking shadow man. You look crazy. You look fucking insane. And the simple fact that games like that couldn't implement Connect, just really killed the value of like, what the fuck is the point of having this shit if the shit I want to do with it, I can't even do with it? Like, imagine if you could use Connect to build your character in Mass Effect. That shit would be fucking dope. Because I don't know about y'all, but I personally don't, look forward to playing games where I got to make my character and I got to basically fucking tweak the fucking all the little facial features, my eyebrows, eyes, all that shit. I mean, I would assume maybe not everybody does that in order to make their character look like themselves, but I assume most people do, and a handful of people, they make themselves look like other people. Like, you want to look like a woman, or I don't know, if you're black, you want to look Chinese or whatever the fuck, but for the most part, most people want their characters to look like themselves, so I just think that was just a missed opportunity. I don't know, what the deal was, and why that couldn't be done better. I don't see why Rare couldn't share that technology, or maybe devs just weren't willing to do it because they felt it was an unfair advantage, because the Kinect was such a powerful, feature. Maybe they felt like, well, since PlayStation doesn't have it, well, we gotta have parity. So instead of making the camera to utilize the Kinect specifically, they just basically use a general program for whatever, camera device, and which is why it probably just couldn't be done well. With all the parity that is discussed with PlayStation and Xbox, people don't discuss the fact that PlayStation gets a lot of that shit with the touchpad. Like, a lot of devs made shit that worked with the touchpad, whether or not gamers liked it or not, they utilized it. But when it came to the Kinect, they just didn't. They didn't want to do it. I mean, and I think they felt because it was in some ways it was an unfair advantage, especially for games that are, like a Skyrim game, or what's that game, that BioWare game, Not BioShock. What the fuck is that game? I don't know. That Dragon game. Dragon something. I can't remember what the fuck it is. Well, any of those created character games, man, they just, I don't know, they just didn't utilize it, man. But it is what it is. You know, that era is done. You know, now we're moving on to a new one where the Scorpio is coming out. It's going to be a beast, and it will have a ton of games because you're not going to only have your Xbox games. You're also going to have your multiplats that are going to be, you know, just otherworldly. You know, like, yeah, Dragon Age. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Grims. Yeah, so it's just um like this idea that, you know, day one you get a Scorpio and now you're gonna be, you know, sitting there with your dick in your hand because you ain't got shit else to do. It's just fucking stupid. You know, straight up the jump, you already know that you're gonna have all pretty much every Xbox exclusive that came out this year is going to be available on the Scorpio. Like, well, all games are going to be available, but what I mean is, you know, your Gears, your Forzas, these shits are going to be like, their assets are already made for 4K in mind because you already have that shit on the PC. So that shit's going to be available on the fucking Scorpio. So that day one, you already have that shit, you know. But then on top of that, they already put out fucking work for the devs. That's what that white paper is for. That white paper is not for anything else but to tell the devs, hey, this is some shit to aim for, you know, at a bare minimum. At a bare minimum, this is some shit you can aim for, which makes sense. It just does. It just makes sense for, you know, like, all right, we give the devs this, you know, these specs so they have an idea what we can do. At a minimum, this is what we'll be able to do. All right. You know, in a maximum, it doesn't matter. You don't have to give them a max because, you know, most devs aren't going to have but so much, you know, like you can't just be like, all right, we're going to, you know, shoot for the moon from the jump, for the simple fact that, you know, they still got to keep the Xbox and the Xbox One and the PS4 in mind, you know, so you can't just make something that just can't run on anything else but the fucking Scorpio. So as long as, you know, they have something available that can run equivalent to what is on a PC, you know, in the same manner, because they have the UWP coming out, like all that shit just, you know, just flows into what their plan is for the console. Like they want, I think this is the biggest thing that I find that people tend to forget. Microsoft is Windows, right? Microsoft makes their own PCs though, correct, right? I have a Windows Surface Book, right? Microsoft makes this. I have, you know, Windows Office and all that shit. But guess what? That shit's not only available on their fucking hardware. It's available on HP, Dell, fucking Novia, Acer, a lot of shit. It's just available everywhere, right? But they still sell fucking hardware. So this idea that Microsoft can't do the same shit, like literally that's all they did. They did the implementation with their software first, right? And they were like, man, this shit sells a lot of money. You know what? We could do the same thing with our games. We have our games on our own hardware, which is our console, and then we can have games available on our personal PCs that we make and PCs that, you know, utilize the Windows platform. That's all they did. You know, it just made it more accessible. I mean, their biggest issue is making the store run better and making and stop making PC such a resource hog when they're when games run in general. So that's why they have that whole game mode coming out, which should help a lot with PC gaming. Like anybody knows that if you play on PC, sometimes you'd be like, man, I'm playing this game, but this bitch is fucking doing a whole lot of other shit. And even if you're not doing it, like literally you have everything clicked off on your PC, but unless you go in manually and turn shit off, a lot of times it's just still doing shit in the background. People just don't want to have to do that. like you don't want to have to play a game and then all of a sudden be like, oh man, I want to play fucking Killer Instinct or fucking Resident Evil, but fuck, I gotta go and go in here and make sure everything's off, and it's just not, because otherwise what happens is when you're fucking playing the game and all that other shit is going on, you're like, yo, this shit is slow as fuck. What the fuck is going on? And then you got to realize, oh, I got to turn all this other shit off because my shit is dragging right now. Whereas when you're playing on console, that shit automatically does it for you. You don't have to tell it, oh, make sure that the fucking Netflix isn't operating at the same time as I'm playing fucking Forza. Like, you don't have to do that shit. So, like Microsoft, to me, they're doing what they need to do. Like I was listening to a couple podcasts the other day, and people were talking about like, well, Microsoft shouldn't focus on power; they should focus on games. Bitch, what the fuck you talking about? Like, that makes no sense. Like, literally, they were focusing on games. Like, the biggest issue that people were saying with fucking Microsoft is like, yo, why are people not buying exclusives when these are good games? Oh, but you have people over here just buying PS4 with not buying the exclusives either like that, but just buying fucking multiplats. Other than, because all right, people bought. Let's look at all the exclusives that really sold, and I'm talking about sold, not they were sold at a serious price cut. Uncharted sold, all right, Halo sold, Gears sold, Forza sold, Titanfall sold. What else? You can say Rise sold a little bit. It sold like 1 million. It ain't due, but it's launched, so it is what it is. So you got Rise, you got Dead Rising, that sold obviously. And that's about it. Then you have for PlayStation, you got Uncharted, you got Infamous sold, Bloodborne sold, and I don't count Drive Club because when Drive Club sold, it was like $20. One, Drive Club was a fucking free to play, which people talk a hell of shit about fucking Killer Instinct, like, oh, Killer Instinct is free to play, but then you got to pay like $20 to get the whole. But like, bitch, Drive Club the same goddamn thing, man. But y'all ignore that fact. I mean, that's why that shit came out, and it was like people were like, oh, it sold 2 million. Bitch, it was $20 like a month and a half later. Like, the fucking game literally came out. Nobody bought that shit. And then like a month and a half later, that shit was like $20. Like, to this day, I don't even know if Forza 5 is fucking $20 on Xbox. Like, shit is crazy. But then that's how there's a different quality in the game. And people, like, I don't think people understand, especially with games like Forza, when people own those games, they buy a shit ton of that fucking DLC. I mean, that's one of the issues with Drive Club. It does have some DLC, but it does. If you're trying to compare the DLC that Forza gets versus Drive Club, that shit is night and fucking day. That shit is a big fucking difference. But, so we're both saying, all right, you have those exclusives, but that's sold. But it wasn't a lot. Out of all the exclusives they really had out, they didn't really sell a ton. Ratchet and Clank maybe scraped by barely a million. Fucking same thing with Horizon Zero. What's that game? That fucking horror game. Something Dawn, Dust. I don't remember. Something Dawn. I forgot. What else? Fucking Little Big Planet didn't do shit. Knack ain't do shit like that. Might did a mill. Killzone did fairly okay because Killzone was like that graphical showcase. It was like, oh shit, look how dope this shit looks. But if you played it longer than like 30 minutes, you're like, like it was like one of those, like, Killzone is weird, man, because it's a game that looks good. It's like a game that you want to like, but you don't know what it is that you don't like about the game. But you're just like, I don't know what the fuck it is about this game. It's like, it's not one thing. It's like these little things I don't like about the game. And that's what, causes Killzone issues. I mean, I don't think people care about the characters enough. And I don't know. But but yeah, but what Sony really sold, man, and everybody knows, like every year that they won, especially the holidays, the big they had the big multiplat. You know, this is the first year without a price, like without a significant price drop. Like, so all right, so the first full year. All right, so Microsoft came out, the Xbox came out, was it 2014, 2015, Halo dropped. They had a price drop with that. No, was it? No, it was 2013. 2014, they had that price drop. So the price drop came. They outsold Sony that year because the PS4 was still like 400. The following year it came out. They both were at the same price, but PlayStation had the fucking Star Wars deal. They had Call of Duty, and they had something else. What the fuck else they had? I don't know. They had something. But that shit was like huge. You know, for Call of Duty and Star Wars alone, fucking just sold for PlayStation. Both always sell during the holidays. It just, they're always going to sell. But it's just that the drastic difference in between they got because Star Wars came out. You know, it's a fucking big IP. So PlayStation sold like a motherfucker. Then this year, during Black Friday, I don't remember if they were either they were, I think PlayStation barely won or they were tied. It was something like that. It was closer than a motherfucker. But the difference this year is both PS4 had 3 SKUs. So you had the OG, you had the Slim, and you had the Pro. The Pro basically championed the early parts of November. So probably like the first 2 weeks, the Pro did about let's say about 6,000, 600,000, probably like in the first 2 weeks. And then fucking PS4 just, the Slim just skyrocketed because of the fucking price drop. It was like both the Slim and fucking the Xbox One S were like 250, and then on like certain days they were both like 212. It was crazy, man. The price drops was like nuts, and so I mean, so this year it was mighty tight, but you just see a new found level of respect for Xbox just based on the fact that they did this redesign, and the redesign was probably the smartest thing that Phil could have done. A lot of people, in the media said that it was dumb. They shouldn't have done it. Why would you do this? You're going to kill the Scorpio. But in hindsight, now it's like, yo, that was a good idea because you rebranded your console to be, put out as something that's, positive versus still having the stigma of what the original Xbox was. Because no matter what they did, man, they could not shake it. I mean, the Xbox One S is really not any much different from the OG. Yeah, you have you have the 4K Blu-ray player and the HDR shit, but overall the games are the same. You're not gonna see a drastic difference in how the games play, but it's just the perception of what the console is just vastly different. Like people actually over, like, I can't say that if they decided not to do an Xbox One S and just put out a Scorpio next year, I mean this year coming up, that Xbox still would have sold well this holiday. I don't see it happening. I mean, I don't see that happening. Just, like people just, oh no, it would have still sold well. Like I don't see that happening, man. You needed to rebrand your console because of the stigma that the other one had. Whether or not it was warranted or not, it's irrelevant. It had a stigma. So that means you had to change how people felt about the console. Because a lot of people are up about Xbox now. only people that are down about Xbox Scorpio are people that are in fear of it because they felt like, they chose, some people, all right, look, man, whether or not your money's tight, maybe it's not even your money. Maybe it's just, you know, your investment. You put all this, well, I guess it's still kind of money. It's like, all right, you spend all this money into PlayStation, like that's where you spend a lot of your money. And now you're telling me that Xbox is, coming out, and you kind of fighting against it because yeah, it's gonna have better games and it's gonna look better, but it's like, damn, I put all this money in PlayStation, so it's like eating sour grapes. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do this, man, because I'm salty, and I just, maybe I should have waited, but I didn't. You know, especially if you bought a pro, and then, well, especially if you bought a pro and aren't a hardcore PlayStation guy. If you bought a pro and they're like a casual PlayStation guy and then realize that the Scorpio's coming out, maybe you're a little bit more salty than a hardcore PlayStation guy. Because if you're a hardcore PlayStation guy, I mean, the pro isn't, it's like I said, it's not bad. It's just not better than what Microsoft's about to launch. Even with the games that PlayStation is, said to be coming out, with God of War, as good as God of War is, it's never going to, it could look amazing. It could look all that in a bag of chips, but it's a first person game. It's not gonna be more impressive than fucking Call of Duty or Battlefield. It's not gonna be more impressive than those games because you're not gonna play that game. But so like unless you force yourself to play God of War over and over and over again, like once you beat the story, there's really, other than getting trophies, there's no point in really going back and playing it over and over and over again. Like I went to Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider is one of my favorite action games, right? The new one, the Rise of the Tomb Raider. The other one was good too, but the Rise of the Tomb Raider is like, that shit is amazing. But I think I beat it maybe 3 times, maybe. Well, no, twice. I beat it twice, and I probably just started it, and then I didn't really play it after that. I dabble with here and there when I get an itch, but overall, there's no multiplayer. There's no real reason to really, 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 really jump into it like that. Yeah, it's expedition mode is cool, but due to the fact that you really only play on one map, it's kind of like, after a while, it's just like, you kind of need more to it than that to really keep you going back to that game. And that's the same feeling that I feel for a lot of the PlayStation exclusives, because the PlayStation is all about single player. I think that's why a lot of their games lose their value so quick, because that game drops, and if you don't buy it right then and there, a couple months later, after everybody done played it and you already heard the story a million times, it's just like, yeah, you might play it yourself and experience for yourself, but then you're gonna just trade it in. What's the point in keeping it? You're not gonna play it with friends. There's no multiplayer. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, the games that are coming up for the Xbox are looking impressive to me. I know that a lot of PlayStation guys are out here trying to shit on games like Sea of Thieves and Crackdown because, I don't know. I mean, I guess they're shitting on it because it's not single. Like, we don't really know a story for it. Because when Microsoft introduced Crackdown, what you saw was like, all right, well, it kind of was like, all right, this mission, and you got to get this guy out this building. And you're like, okay, I don't know what that's about, but okay. And then they showed the next trailer is like them showing like tech demos and them blowing up shit multiplayer. And that's like, okay. But you don't really have a story. You have no idea of what that is. And Crackdown was never a real story heavy game or story driven game. So it's like, You know, if you're solely on the single player, that's probably not that impressive to you, you know. And same thing for Sea of Thieves. We know nothing about the story of Sea of Thieves. I mean, if you're playing the beta, you don't know anything about the story. You just know, well, alpha or whatever the fuck they call it. You just know some of the mechanics that you're using, but other than that, you don't know anything about the story. Um, but I guess it depends on what type of gamer you are, because you know, Minecraft doesn't have a story, but people love Minecraft. You know, you can't, like, I think that's what people try to, they ignore the popularity of Minecraft and they ignore the popularity of Ark, and they just base it on their feelings for the game. Like, I understand you might not like those games, and I'm not a big fan of Ark myself, for the simple, like, Ark to me would be fun, a lot more fun, if I didn't have to do the whole eat and drink and shit. I despise that shit. I hate having to eat and drink all the goddamn time. Now I know they've gone in and tweaked that shit a little bit, and that's my same issue with fucking We Happy Few, is the constant, oh, you gotta remember to feed yourself and you gotta remember to fucking drink some water. I'm like, oh shit, I hate that shit. But we know Sea of Thieves isn't gonna be like that. It's, you know, it just is way more focused on, you know, you having an adventure, not so much on you going and get food. Like, to me, they could do food and shit like that, but the way you, like, this is straight up, if you're going to implement a survival mode type thing, what you do is you don't give people, you don't make people have to eat and drink to fucking survive, otherwise you just die. That shit is ass. What you do is you keep their level at, you know, are 100%, right? And the more they eat and drink, they will up their abilities. So the more water you drink, the or more juice that you consume, the more energy you can offset. So say for a certain amount of time, you could run really fast, or the more food you eat, you're hella strong for that. I mean, for that particular amount of time. To me, that makes way more sense than fucking saying that, all right, you know, you didn't eat, you didn't drink, so now you're fucking tired and dying and you're crawling all over the place and you're about to be eaten by this fucking animal and shit. Like, that shit is ass as hell. I hate that shit. You know? But maybe that's just me. I don't know if everybody else feels that way, but that's how I feel about it. I just feel like, you know, they could go a different way about it. But yeah, Sea of Thieves is going to be dope. Sea of Thieves is definitely going to be dope. I don't know how, on the scale of how popular it'll be, but I would say, I feel that it'll probably do about a 2 million in a year. I think so. I think so. 2 million in a year is pretty reasonable, you know, based on what you can do, the popularity of it, the fact that it'll probably force people to have to buy the game. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of those must-have games, especially for the holidays. I think that people initially won't know what it is. You know what? To be honest, I wouldn't be like, Sea of Thieves could be one of those games. It's like, all right, it comes out a year, and it comes out like low. Maybe like its first week, it sells like 200,000, something like that. And you know, you got people. You're gonna have the Sony fanboys talk about, oh, look at this, a piece of shit. Nobody likes it. Look, they only sold 200,000. And then you're gonna be getting live streams. And then you're going to see, you know, people just constantly streaming online their adventures going on with their friends. And, you know, it's going to have that fucking Rocket League effect where everybody's like, man, I got to figure this out. I got to experience this for myself, you know. And once that happens, that's when that bitch will take off, you know. I don't know if they'll do VR support, maybe not. But if they do, that'd probably be a game that, you know, that will work well enough with, because it doesn't look like it doesn't look like a Twitch-based game, so I don't see it having adverse effects on you as far as doing VR with it, unless you just don't like VR in general. But to me, I think it just looks like a game that would work well both ways. So, I think people are just down on it because they don't. I, I mean, look, I don't like Minecraft like that. I played it, and it's just not for me. But I'm not gonna deny that it's popular and people like it. I'm not gonna do that because it's just asinine for me to do. It's a fucking big IP. It's huge. You know, it's yeah, it's probably the biggest IP that anybody has, other than maybe Mario. And I'm pretty it might be bigger than Mario. Um, but it's like Sea of Thieves is looking to be something amazing, and the simple fact that to me that game Sea of Thieves will be what I think Microsoft initially wanted Fable Legends to be, that real cross-gen game. I think that's really, really, really what Sea of Thieves is going to be. That game has a lot of potential. And then after Sea of Thieves, you have Crackdown, and that shit is just it's just something amazing in itself. Like, to me, I know Xbox guys are hyping these games up. And I guess because they've been in development for so long, well, especially Crackdown, it's hard to be hyped. Well, shit, Microsoft don't really hype up Crackdown, so it's kind of their own fault. I mean, they gotta push that hype train button if they want people to be amped for it. At least see if these puts out, little dev shits here and there to really like give you a glimpse into what they're doing. Crackdown don't do none of that shit, and I don't know why, but they need to. I don't know. I guess maybe because maybe whatever they're developing, maybe they you know are doing something new and they want to keep it a surprise. For whatever reason. Regardless, Crackdown is going to be something that they're definitely going to put out. They're putting way too much time and resources into it to just let it disappear. So hopefully it's just not their last Guardian. I know it's I don't know why the fuck Last Guardian took so goddamn long. You know what? I mean, it's not like I don't think they had new technology or any. Like, I don't know what the fuck. Like, I mean, I know why Crackdown's taking forever. You talking about they're trying to do something that's never been done before. They're trying to change the game as far as like how devs develop games on, like using cloud compute for physics and shit like that. Like, that's something that's never been done before. So it's like on some damn, what movie took fucking hella long to make? It was one of them CGI movies that took hella long. It wasn't Toy Story. What the fuck was it? I can't remember. But it's like they're making the blueprint, and I think that might be in itself why it's taking so long, because whatever they do, they're trying to make it intuitive enough that the next people that make a game can utilize this tool set, and it won't be as grueling of a process for them to make their game as it is for the devs to make Crackdown. Because look, man, we already made the blueprint. Like, this is what you got to do. You got to do this, that, and the third. So now you don't got to deal with all the bullshit that we had to deal with. You could just kind of, go in easier and just, build your game. To me, that just makes a sense of why, they're dealing with the shit that they're dealing with in the development of that game. But yeah, man, with Scorpio's coming out, man, best believe people gonna buy that console. I mean, don't listen to the haters. Haters just want to hate because it's Microsoft, like Xbox. They just, for whatever reason, they just hate on that shit. Let's be honest. No matter, I don't give a fuck what game you got. It don't matter that PlayStation has coming out. People still gonna buy the Xbox Scorpio. They still gonna buy it. Because you're talking about a drastic difference in what you're gonna be seeing on screen. Now, I'm not saying PlayStation games are just gonna fall off and not gonna sell. Hell no. Because guess what? Not everybody gonna buy no Scorpio day one. People ain't got money like that. But the people that are hardcore, it doesn't matter if they Xbox or not, people that are hardcore, they're gonna buy that shit because it's basically championing a new era. When Scorpio drops, probably for the next 2 to 3 years, it's gonna be the most powerful console on the market. People thinking that Sony's gonna just like be like, all right, we're gonna scrap the Pro and then make a fucking PS4 5. Is number one, they're not gonna do that. They're not gonna do that until the numbers show them that they have to. Like they're not gonna do. You don't push the. I mean, because they already invested money in the Pro. Yeah, it's not selling as they would like, but we haven't seen. I mean, it's only been out for 2 months, right? 2, maybe 3 months. It's not doing shitty numbers. It ain't doing Wii U numbers, but it ain't doing great. I say you just give them more time. I mean, they got Horizon Zero Dawn. That shit'll sell. That shit should sell some pros. So we'll see. We'll see how it does. I mean, with the Scorpio, I don't think the Scorpio's gonna come out and just fucking destroy PlayStation in general. No, because like I said, people, they're not gonna have money like that. They can't just fucking buy Scorpios like that, whatever the price is. Well, I mean, it could be $400. It's still expensive for people to just spend that money to buy that console. Now, will it outsell the PlayStation Pro? More than likely, because most people that really, really wanted it probably already bought it. And, unless people, I mean, there's so many people that bought PlayStation already. And there's a lot of people that, I mean, because you got to look at it. You got 53 million PlayStation sold, they say, versus 26. If that's an accurate number, that's a vast difference. So at least half of the people that own PlayStation don't own an Xbox. So there's a lot more people to sell an Xbox Scorpio to than a PlayStation, Pro to. And like I said, the Pro isn't like, it ain't setting the world on fire. It's only a little bit more. I mean, no, it's more powerful than the PlayStation, obviously. I don't know, but the way it's built is just not really doing everything that people will want it to do. And I think that's what hurts it the most, is because when the Scorpio comes out, the expectations are not only are the games going to be on 4K in 4K, they're going to look and run better. Like, it's one thing to be in 4K with the same textures and all that shit. Is another thing to be in 4K with 4K textures, and you got shaders and lighting is all, and everything is just like super crisp. Like, that shit makes a fucking difference. That shit'll blow your fucking mind. Shit, I played Quantum Break on my fucking PC and Ultra. That shit was crazy. That shit is crazy. Like, it doesn't even look like the same game. It looks like shit looks crazy. You take off the fucking that gray filter, you fucking knock them bitches up to fucking Ultra, you'd be like, oh shit, this game is fucking nuts. But yeah, I mean, I get it. Xbox is not as strong as my fucking Windows Surface Book, so it's not gonna be able to fucking do Ultra settings and shit like that. I get that. It is what it is. But yeah, man, it's your boy Live. It was good chatting with y'all. I went well over fucking 30 minutes. God damn it. But I'll holler at y'all later, man. Good with the convo. You know what? Let me look at my let's see what people are saying before I fucking jump out of here. Yo, we're good, Flip Money. Jay. Yeah, you're right. They still trying to recruit after that Iron Wolf shit. Man, fucking PlayStation dudes trying to recruit. Man, PlayStation dudes are weird as hell. They literally just want They just want Xbox gamers to be like, I have seen the light. You know, I don't even know, man, because this shit is crazy. It's like, well, what kind of Xbox game are you gonna get? Because is he gonna say that the console is more powerful? Is that what they're gonna say? Because the Scorpio's coming out, so then that means they're gonna have to flip their narrative. They're gonna say it has more games, because then if that's the case, then Xbox had better games, more AAA games at the beginning of the year. Now, if you say that they got more indies, I guess you have an argument there. With me, I play the indies I like, but I'm gonna be honest, man. I game a lot, but I can't buy everything. I can't play everything. I don't have the type of time to do that. Like, I think half these people that write all these messages about, oh well, y'all don't buy every game. You don't have all these indies, and be like, look, man, I can literally not buy all the games that are on Xbox. I cannot buy them all. I don't have enough money to do it. I don't have enough time to play them. It would be like literally like basically going to work just to buy games, and that's it. I don't feed myself. I have my car gets repossessed. Like, my wife kicks me out. Like what do you want people to do? Have no fucking life and just play video? That shit makes no fucking sense, yo. Like this shit is wild shit, man. Let's see. What else? Oh, I gotta get my headphones. Oh. What else? Okay. Oh man, it's fucking hot. I need to turn my fan on in this bitch. It's warm as hell. Let's see what else we got up in here. All right, I'll shoot you that link. But yeah, man, it's it's just been a interesting week, man. It's so funny, man. The crazy thing is you got the white papers, right? Oh, what's good?
God damn.
Are you driving? You working?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, I ain't doing nothing heavy today.
Oh, okay.
No, I listened to them. I was just listening to the podcast.
Yeah.
And you was talking about why the PlayStation guys don't like, what was it? Crackdown and what's the other one? Sea of Thieves?
Yeah.
I can give you some insight on that.
No, what's that?
I'm gonna tell you why they don't like it. Number one, Crackdown, besides the I don't know if you remember, but I played Crackdown 1 and 2. The controls are shit. I mean,
Well, the first one I liked. I liked the first one.
Or even
second one,
what it is, the shooting mechanics, not the movement of the character, but the shooting mechanics.
Yeah.
For some reason, the way that third person is set up, and it kind of reminds me of somebody else has kind of like that. I think Saints Row. The way the third person like shooting mechanics is shit. But see, we haven't played the game. This was years ago.
Well, yeah, that's a long ass time ago.
Yeah, so people are still going off of what they perceived and what they thought back then. But even the crazy thing is, like, when people are saying Crackdown was like a great game, I never really got into it like that. I was like, really? I was like, but because to me, controls, like tight controls are something that I'm like always. I'm always told, just because I'm a fighting game guy. So controls always got to be tight for me to play any game. If I play any action type game, like, it doesn't necessarily have to be 60 FPS, but the controls got to be tight. But besides the damage, the damage that we're seeing on the building,
yeah,
they haven't been showing anything to make like another person want to. That always crazy.
No, I feel well, yeah, because I was just saying that they haven't really spoken about the story. There's no story
No,
that.
it's not the story. Nobody give a fuck about the story. That's another thing. People always say like, "Yo, it's a story." Some people do care about the story, but I'm gonna tell you why I stopped playing single player games. Well, not all single player games, but I really stopped playing like a lot of American single player games. Because them shits ain't fun no more. Like they stopped being fun. They kept trying to make everything like a movie. I'm like, yo, if I'm gonna watch a fucking movie, I'm gonna just watch a movie. Like, what was that shit on PlayStation where it was like almost all cutscenes?
Until Dawn, that's what it was.
No,
Oh
that
no, that was the order. The order.
Yeah, that shit. It's like,
Yeah,
why would I even play that shit if most of the game is gonna be told to me as cutscenes? You know what I mean? That's why it's another game, Xenogears, the Xenosaga, some shit like that. No, Xenogears. Yo, they said that shit was like fucking 80% movie, like 20% game. I said, they just robbed you. Shit, motherfuckers just robbed you and shit. Same thing with Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves, I don't see anything in the game that would make a person be like, it don't got that wow factor. You know what I'm saying? As of now, none of the games have that, yo, that shit is crazy. Like, when I first seen Crackdown and he started blowing shit up, I was like, all right, that's kind of dope. But remember, the art design is still kind of, like, cell shaded and shit like that, which ain't bad.
It's
but
on
it's
some
like,
what do you call that shit? What's that shit called? The fuck is the name of that game that people like? Borderlands.
Yeah, that's what it is. I never liked Borderlands. Niggas be going crazy for that shit. Like niggas
but it's not as cell shaded. Like Borderlands is to be honest is closer to Telltale, the way they fucking characters look.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, matter of fact, you're right. It's like that. I wonder if Telltale will ever really make a real game. Probably not.
Yeah.
Somebody gonna get mad that I just say it's not a real game, but to be honest, that's not. And see, that's the thing. Niggas is so like. Notice how the Telltale games is getting like high scores and shit, right? I'm almost certain that this is the way of the video game because games stop being fun about the mechanics and they just want like, yo, I'm gonna tell a story. Like Final Fantasy, I kept trying to play it again. Yo, I beat a boss. It was like a water boss.
Mm-hmm.
Nigga, all I did was tap one button for the whole fight. Nigga, and my life was, the nigga hit me like mad times, my life didn't go down. I said, yo, this shit is whack. Nigga, I leaned back on the bed and just kept pressing the button. I closed my eyes. The fight was long as shit. It was like fucking 15 minutes. I was like, yo, I didn't have to do nothing. Games stopped being fun. Like once they got out the arcade and people kept talking about the story and shit, they was like, oh my god, the story is so crazy. I'm like, yo, okay, I get it. But the story ain't what's selling the motherfucking game. The story's not what's selling the game. It's so bad that they start talking about the story mode in the 2K. That's what niggas like, I don't give a fuck about that story mode. Nigga, you better work on the mechanics. Make sure my crossovers and everything is right. It's like, yo, if you want the story, that's cool, but that should not be the main part of the game. The main part of the game should be single player experience, you know what I mean? And multiplayer experience. And then you work on the story, composed around that. But don't be like, I'm gonna make it.
Well, the crazy thing is, from what I know on Sea of Thieves, I don't even know if they have given. No, they have given people weapons at this point because they were saying that people were.
No, I've seen them. I think they got weapons.
Yeah, well, I know they have weapons in the game, but they haven't really disclosed like all the like. I think they probably have like one gun or one sword that they've really put out, but they haven't put out like the list of the weapons that are available in Sea of Thieves. And in Crackdown, we know even less. Like I don't know for Crackdown. I don't know when maybe they're waiting all the way up to E3 to really put out anything. Like I don't know. I haven't really figured out what Microsoft's strategy is for those two.
You want to know some shit I was thinking?
Yeah.
Now that like the Scorpio's out now and all that, and people keep talking about the cloud and blah blah. I'm gonna be honest. I think they're gonna kill the original Xbox One
Oh yeah.
I think Crackdown, they had this shit in the works, like the Scorpio and all that. I think they had this shit in the works for a long time before the the PS Pro. Because,
Yeah, well, possibly, yeah, because
you look at the cycles now.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
The development cycle. Yo, when did when did the Xbox come out? The Xbox, fucking
13.
When did the Xbox One come out?
2013. Yeah.
2013. All right, now we in 2017, going into 18. So 13 is 14, 15, 16, 17. 4 years. That's about the time. Most like the development cycles are getting shorter and shorter because before they used to be around 7 years. So, I was watching something about they were talking about Dreamcast and how like Dreamcast was the end of consoles being like art. That's when video games actually became product because it became a regular development cycle. What we're seeing right now is video games becoming like any other product, like a cell phone or like because look at iPhone. Yeah. iPhone switches up all the time. Like you got the iPhone, you got the iPhone S and shit like that. So this is going to be the normal progression that we're going to see.
Yeah.
And I know people are going to think that's crazy. Like, oh, that's crazy as hell. I paid $500 for this, but yeah, guess what? A lot of motherfuckers paid $600 for that iPhone. You know what I mean? You understand? Yeah. So like, I still got my iPhone 4. I still have my iPhone 4. You know what I mean? 5. I got the 5 or whatever.
I think the cycle will be longer, obviously. I think this cycle will be between 3 and 4 years for a console, but I don't see it coming out every year because I think the developmental time takes too long for it to come out every year.
It's not going to come out every year. But you know what? I got to take back what I just said earlier when I said they're going to kill the Xbox One. I meant to say the Xbox 360.
Oh, yeah. That's
I think what Xbox is about to do now.
But Xbox One S is cell phones. Yeah, but they're killing off the OG Xbox too because I don't see like when they're pushing. Yeah, the old no. I'm talking about the OG Xbox One. The first.
Oh yeah. No, you're right. You're right. They're not going to develop no more.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is when they move into other regions, they're not going to bring the OG to move into that region. They'll just bring the S. Like when they went to Mexico. They just, even though they launched 2 months later, like I'm telling you, all these regions, because people always fail to realize that PlayStation is out in a lot more places, and even with the Scorpio coming out as hype for Scorpio as we are, the S is still going to be the #1 console because it's cheaper. And it's just going to be more, more people are going to have it than the Scorpio, and the same thing for the Slim.
It's going to be a lot of confusion just because it's called S, like the Xbox S. Like when a grandparent goes to buy the system and the kid says, I want the Xbox Scorpio. Now they go to the store and they see Xbox S, they're going to be like, oh, that's the Scorpio.
Well, they're probably not going to call it the Scorpio. They'll probably call it something else.
Oh, yeah, I know it's not going to. Well, yeah, I figured that's the code name because Neo was the.
Yeah, right. Which was way better. PlayStation Neo was way fucking better than. They should have called that bitch a Pro and then changed it to Neo.
Nah, they should have called it what I said. They should have called it before. PS4K. How do you fuck that up? But then I realized it's not native 4K, so I guess they couldn't say that without getting sued or something. Because motherfuckers be suing for everything.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm gonna sue. Spoiler alert. Niggas said they was gonna sue. Killing off Han Solo. Like, get the fuck out of it. You can't sue for like y'all niggas is dumb. Stop with that stupid shit. There's other things you could really waste your time on.
Hey, this shit. Yeah.
I wanted to address something else you said. You said something about Killzone. You said you said it's something that you don't like about Killzone. And I was like, I gotta get on this because I'm gonna tell you exactly what it is. I know exactly what's wrong with Killzone. The art direction. There's nothing special about Killzone. The way the characters are designed, it looks like something you would see on a show on like the Sci-Fi Network. Straight up. Like,
I get you.
really
You know what? It's generic as fuck. That's what it
really think
is.
about it.
I
Really
couldn't
think
even think
about
of it. I
it.
was like, yo, because it looked good. The guns look good. Everything looked polished. But I was like, why the fuck don't I like this shit?
It's something you've seen before. It's not exciting. It's like, all right, compared to the other games, like, it's like, okay, it don't got that wow factor. See, that's the same thing I'm saying about like Sea of Thieves right now. It doesn't have the wow factor, like the look of it.
Yeah.
But the gameplay, like the things I'm seeing that you can do as far as the connectivity with other players. Because I've seen a lot of players in it, and I was like, all right, that's kind of dope. That's kind of how I wanted State of Decay to be. So I found out they said it was just going to be a
4-player co-op.
you know, four-player experience.
Yeah. To me, I think the reason why they went that route for State of Decay is because they didn't want it to be H1Z1. You know, I think it has more of a narrative than that they want, you know, people to have. Maybe it's I don't know if they're trying to go like the whole Gears of War, like 4-player co-op, but it has a narrative. Obviously, it's not linear; it's open world, so you can go where the fuck you want. But yeah, that shit. You know what? It could be a real dope experience if, like, all right, say you like, all right, you go on this mission, you go on that mission, right? Your group goes over there, y'all both experience a whole different narrative, right? Guys talking to you, talking about what you need to do. You gotta go over there. Your other 2 people go on to some other place, same thing. There's no, but the only difference is, you know, you could choose to split up, or you could choose to stay together. You know,
that would be dope. That would be fire. But
they gotta let you have vehicles where everybody can jump in that bitch. I want to be able to shoot from the vehicle like in Halo, like in the old what they did from the beginning of Halo, where you can just jump in the back, fucking fire off.
Yo, you know what? Another thing that would be dope too, if you could store weapons in the trunk of the car.
Oh, you can. They let you do that.
Okay, all right.
They changed that in the update. They said if you had the update for the not the original one. Yeah, for the original, when the last one came out, they had an update for that, and it updated all the State of Decays.
Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard somebody say, I think it might have been on your video. This guy was like, I'm going to tell you the reason why Xbox isn't popping in other countries, because they did mad fucked up shit in Africa. He said they went in Africa and they dumped a bunch of computer parts over there. You fly to Africa to dump computer parts.
Yeah, but but wait, hold up. When the fuck motherfuckers care about Africans? Hold up.
Hold on. And that's the thing I don't understand, because I'm like, wait a minute. I said, if you're telling me that people in the UK and the PlayStation, because of the shit that happened in Africa, like y'all occupy Africa. So I don't understand what's the issue. Japan, I know they don't give a shit. So we're not gonna put them. We're not gonna put them in the conversation. It's just like, yo, you tripping. So I don't know where people are getting this. I don't know where they're getting this idea from, but I did hear something about. I know it's region costs. Like when a system goes to another country, some places they make you charge like it's an extra fee. I forgot. Like some guy was talking about.
Yeah.
I think he lived in Brazil or something, and like the Xbox was like $800 for him because they charge. They charge them extra just to have the shit over. So,
no, you know what? I think Brazil is cheap. Well, I know PlayStation is dumb expensive in fucking Brazil.
No, matter of fact, yeah, too.
In South America in general is mad expensive. That's why Xbox is more dominant down there, because it's cheaper. I think they also have one of their factories, because you know they don't just make Xboxes in fucking China. They also do it in South America. But
I'm pretty sure.
Oh shit, that's what the workers are. You can do that shit for dumb cheap, you know.
I'm pretty sure.
I mean, Donald Trump trying to stop that shit, but you know.
Yeah, he said if you don't. Now I came up with that conclusion too. I was like, oh, so I guess if PlayStation doesn't have a factory in America,
yo, you know what? To me, my issue is what his thought process on that. You know, with the taxes and all that shit. I'm like, look, man, you need to worry about developing jobs for the people that are here, instead of just trying to bring back jobs that, you know, a lot of these people weren't doing anyway. Like, who's gonna do these jobs? These jobs ain't been here for a minute. They ain't just leave. They've been gone. So it's like, yo, the people that are here that need fucking jobs, they need to get training. So you can't even just be like, all right, we're gonna bring these jobs back. These motherfuckers still need to be trained on how to do the shit. So it's like, if that's the case, why the fuck have them why you gonna just have jobs taken away from some third world country and then fucking brought back here where it's gonna be more expensive for the other company? You might as well just develop a new industry here and fucking teach those people how to do the work from there. You know, it just makes more sense. And they over here complaining about fucking Russian hackers. How about you fucking teach people how to hack so they don't have to deal with it? We don't have to deal with that shit and build better firewalls and shit like that. I'm just saying.
That's true.
Yo, have fucking jobs that make sense to what we need, not just fucking bringing back old shit that nobody do. Well, you gonna try to get a 6-year-old man a fucking job that he had a couple of years ago? The motherfucker gonna be dead soon. Fuck him.
Yeah, it's like you can't really. I mean, you gonna put him in the factory,
man. Like, if he wants to get with the times, he can. But we're not gonna fucking bring back this industry for somebody who's fucking, like, his time is past. It's time to move on.
I mean, I could say there's certain things they could bring back, like car industry. Like, okay, Detroit got all fucked up when the motor industry went down. Like, I can understand them bringing that back, but trying to bring, I don't know.
But listen, Detroit could still come back. The problem is the jobs that the car industry is doing, they're not using manpower like that no more. They're not doing that shit by hand. They're doing that shit with machines. So unless you're going to teach people, unless you're going to teach people how to build machines.
Engineers.
Yeah.
The guys that operate them, they go to school to learn how to operate that shit. So it's like, the jobs are going to come back. So one guy was like, all these jobs are going to come back. I said, but you're not going to be able to get the job, dog, because you can't get a fucking job now. Everything is made on computers. Like, after watching Hidden Figures and shit.
Yeah. But think,
I remember
but think,
a long time ago.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was saying a long time ago, somebody was telling me that they were like, black people were the first computers, and I never understood what the hell they were talking about.
Yeah.
Because that was the term. It was a math term, like people that came up with the math. So once the computer became, powerful, it they became obsolete. Because I think I heard it in I was in college. The guy was like, it was a communication class. My professor was like, that he said the computer replaced the African American. I said,
well, the problem was a lot of people weren't ahead of the curve. A lot. I mean, the ladies in the Hidden Figures movie were, but for the most part, where people are dealing with, that are really hurt by the economy, are people that, are behind the curve. Like, you look at the future. I don't remember too many future movies where you see motherfuckers sweeping up, fucking loading boxes around. What do you see people doing? Walking around in fucking suits, fucking cars that drive themselves. Like, you think these jobs, these manual labor jobs, are going to be here forever? You're a damn fool. Use a damn fool.
That's why I look at niggas. Niggas be like, I'm hustling. I'm doing, I'm putting in that work. It's like, dog, your job can easily be done by a machine. Shit, I drive trucks. I know my job can easily be done by a machine too. But the difference is I'm smart enough to get another position. I do it because this shit is easy as fuck. But when this shit, like, pretty much, I just seen a whole article they were talking about, vehicles driving themselves. Like, if you have an automated trucking system where the loading and shipping is done by computers, that eliminates the accidents that are going to happen on the road. Because a lot of times, like, we've seen what happened with the Tracy Morgan incident, the driver fell asleep behind the wheel. The computer's not going to fall asleep. Efficient because it doesn't have to sleep. So the load is going to get there half the time with zero of the manpower because you don't need anybody to operate it. And so you're only going to need one person, the person that programs that into the computer. Like, okay, where is this going? And if you don't know how to do that, you in the dust.
Yep.
It's all about using your brain over your brawn. Yep. A lot of niggas don't have fucking brains to begin with. So,
look, man, that's the biggest issue, man. People, I've been talking to people for a long time, and I was like, listen, man, if you really want to do some shit, you got to be able to have a backup plan. Like, going to work 9 to 5, that's all well and good. But if you ain't got a plan for when shit break down and you need to do some shit on your own, You're gonna be fucked. I don't give a fuck how good your job is. You could be working a CEO for a company. What if that company goes under? What the fuck you gonna be at? Because guess what? Those CEO jobs are way harder to get back. Like you don't become CEO and then to get fired and be like, man, I wonder who needs a CEO. Like motherfuckers be like, nah, nigga, I ain't leaving. Like what the fuck is it? Like,
that's only happened. It's only happened to one person that I personally know of, and that's what I don't personally know. I'm just saying only one person that I know that has happened to, and that's Steve Jobs. You know why? Because he's a fucking innovator.
Yeah, true.
Not an imitator. When you're an imitator, all you could do is copy other people's shit. See, Steve, I seen a documentary on him. Actually, I watched the movie. Not the Ashton Kutcher one. I saw that one too, bro. I was watching one with Michael Fassbender. Yo, he did some slick ass shit. Like they excommunicated, they kicked him out the company. So he said, "Fuck, I'm gonna make my own company." He did Next, and then he invested that money into Pixar. Like he bought Pixar. Next was fucking failing. Next was shit. Like too expensive. It just wasn't gonna work. But the thing is, the operating system that Next had was like damn near going toe to toe with Microsoft. You know what I'm saying? So Apple didn't want to use Microsoft's OS anymore, which I mean they kind of had to. You know, they got shafted, and Bill Gates told them niggas when they first was doing it. He said, "Yo, to copyright your OS," and they were like, "Nah, why?" They were more focused on computers. So Bill was like, "Fuck it." When he realized they didn't copyright their OS, what did he do? He took that shit. He didn't take it, but he pretty much saw what worked, improved it, and then put out his own. It got to the point where they even went to court and they were like, you know what? We can't even do nothing because the functionality of Windows is different than the functionality of the Apple OS. So they, you know what I mean? They pretty much got screwed. But with the next computer, Apple was like, you know what? We like what Jobs is doing over there, but his computers are too expensive. Them shits was like, the motherfucker was showcasing a computer that was a cube. And they was like, yo, what does it do? He was like, yo, off the record? He said, yeah. He said, yo, shit don't do nothing. He was like, yo, are you serious? He's like, yo, it doesn't do nothing. So they were like, yo, the company's going to fail. So he was like, well, that's kind of the plan. He said, the company's going to fail. He said, but Apple is fucked up right now because they didn't have no innovators over there. They had a bunch of people that was just doing bullshit. So they realized, damn, we need an innovator. So they went to purchase Next. You know what I mean? They went to go purchase Next. The problem is Steve Jobs owned I think it was like 43% stock in the fucking company. So essentially, when they bought the company, CEO of Apple again. And he came in, fired all the motherfuckers. And then that's how Apple got back running again. Because he was like, yo, he said, I'm going to tell you why you guys is fucking up. He said, you're making cameras, you're making printers, you're making all these other shit that Canon, Hewlett-Packard, and all these other companies do better. Stick to what we do best. We make computers. Let's make computers. And that's when they came back with the iMac. And then he was like, you know what? I want to do something more innovative. Then he did the fucking iPod. Then he said, I want to get even more innovative. And then he created the iPhone, which is essentially a computer in your hand. Think about it. He put a computer in your hand.
Yeah.
Now that's
amazing.
Now that's amazing, but you got to think about it. Everybody ain't Steve Jobs. So you as a CEO, you have to know exactly where your strength lies. If your strength lies just in, oh, I'm telling people what to do, that's not really a good strong suit. Because yeah, you're a boss, but what else can you do? If we put you back in the workforce, what can you do? I saw a woman when I was at unemployment years ago. I felt bad for her because she was sitting in there and she was like, you know, pretty much begging, like, you know what I mean? She was like, yo, I need a job and shit. And they were going over her credentials. She had like she had a master's degree, all this shit. But it was like, yo, we don't need no fucking CEO. Like she used to be the boss of some company, but it was like, yo. I was just listening to her because I was like on the other cubicle and shit. I said, damn. I said, yo, that's fucked up.
That's a hard pill. It's a hard pill to swallow when you go in from being the man to being nothing. It's a hard pill to swallow, especially when you know what people really kick themselves and they fall in that depression shit is when they did this shit, they saw the shit, you know, the writing on the wall, but yet they didn't believe it'll ever happen to them. And that's when a lot of people get fucked up and fall into that hole. They be like, man, shit's gravy right now. You know, I'm gonna live like this forever. And all of a sudden shit just changes. You know?
Well, because also their expenses, they're living like the rich. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm rich, so I got to go do expensive shit. Like, you watching the whole thing with Bill Gates. Like, Bill Gates, this guy was a fucker, man. I'm gonna keep it real. And that's why I keep telling people when they be like, oh, Microsoft is good. They're gonna fail. I say, yo, you don't understand. I know Bill Gates is not the head of the video game, division. But you got to understand how he became the man. You know what I mean? Like, this guy, before he even got into computers, he played war games. He played Risk and shit like that. To him, like, fucking over other companies, that shit is fun for him. Like, it's competition. He doesn't even look at it like it's some immoral shit. Like, he would like, the way the dude explained it, he said, Bill Gates would like to win fair and square. He will win any way he can fucking win. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just like, I will win any way I need to win. Like, if he really wanted to, like I'm saying, if Bill was that interested in video games, which I don't really think his interest is, there as of now, because he's even past the whole computer thing. But if he really was to be like, you know what, I want to get rid of Sony, he could do that shit. He's crushed other companies way worse, like way fucking worse. But like you said before, you need to have a bad guy. I mean, you need to have an opponent. It's like you can't just be out there and just doing what you want, because then they'll get caught up in what happened last time. Like, when they was monopolizing the software industry. Like, they made every company pay them based on how many computers they had. Not even how many computers that Windows was installed on their computers. Like, this motherfucker is like he is a monster. You know what I mean? A monster. They don't have nobody over in Sony that thinks like him. Not one of these niggas over in Sony has the same type of mind that Bill Gates has. It's just it's fact. I'm not shitting on them over there. It's just how it is. I'm just saying. I'm being 100% honest. It's kind of like Marvel. Like, if you look at Marvel versus fucking DC, they have nobody over in Warner Brothers that has the same type of mind as Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige said, you know what? I want to create a connected universe, and it's going to span over films. And then after that, he started thinking, like, bigger and going into TV. I guarantee when he was telling people this, I mean, remember, he didn't just start. Marvel wasn't a company back then. They were like they loaned their shit out to Paramount. So I think he worked on a couple of films. He worked on Daredevil and a couple of other films that had failed and shit. But I'm pretty sure he had this idea for a minute. But now seeing how the shit panned out, like DC, it was like, oh shit, we gotta get a connected universe too. So they just ran and tried to throw niggas randomly in Batman v Superman. And it was like, what the fuck is that? Like, niggas was so hyped from seeing the movie. One of my mans was like, yo, that shit was amazing. I said, was it really amazing? Or was it that's the first time you've seen all these characters on screen? I said, really think about it. I said, you could have had Flash in the movie as a cameo. You could have, somebody, like a good writer, could have wrote a film where these characters showed up, where they weren't like main characters. They didn't have to overshadow the story. And it would have all worked well, rather than her sitting down at a computer, her opening up a fucking email and then seeing like 3 different,
that shit was weird.
Files and shit. The shit it was so disjointed from the film. It looked crazy as hell. It was like, what the fuck am I watching right now? It was like it was like something you would see in a Marvel after credit scene, but inside the movie. Like, you know what I mean? It didn't make any sense. But like I always say, when it comes to, there's always a juxtaposition between 2 companies. Like, Marvel, DC, fucking the East and West Coast divisions. All right, what am I doing? What? Huh? What am I doing with this? Drop the trailer. Yeah. Leave it here. Go back to work. Can you pick up another trailer? No. I'm good. I'm done. All right, I got you. Yeah, so the whole, oh shit, my bad.
You were there.
Nah, they told me to drop the trailer and shit. My day is done. My work day is done. Spend a Saturday picking up a little extra bread, man. But,
Yeah, but nah, man, I feel you. I think, like I said before, I think things is going to be looking up for the industry. This is probably going to be the biggest year for both respects. I think for Sony, this is going to be their biggest game year because obviously they got a couple of games to be slated to come out, starting with Horizon Zero Dawn. And for Microsoft, this is going to be big for them in both ways. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens from here on out, man. But yeah, man, I'm about to get up. It's probably, man, I've been on here for a while, so. But I'm gonna holler at y'all. This is your boy live. My bro is working. But we gonna be out of here, man. So we holler at you. All right, man. Peace.